Amen.
At this point, we will have the posting of the colors. Chicago Military Academy at Bronzeville. Let's give it up for our children, our young adults from Chicago Military Academy at Bronzeville. Thank you so much for the posting of the arms. At this point in our program, we are going to hear from the beautiful Cassandra Taylor, who is a retired First Sergeant. She is going to come and bless us with America the Beautiful. Let's welcome Cassandra Taylor.
Oh, beautiful, spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesty, above thy fruitless plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful, for heroes prove in libertine strive, whom more than self their country love, and mercy more than life. America, America, may God thy gold refine, till all success be. May God thy gold.
Agency and Southside Health Center. He and the Southside Health Center will administer HIV and hepatitis tests in the Push Library, as well as you can sign up for colonoscopy as well. And at 8:40, Don Jody is going to present a video on HIV and hepatitis. And then we're going to begin the discussion with Terrell Odom because he has to leave. And my name is Chinta Strasberg. I work in the communications department. I'm also the cousin to Milton Lee Olive III, who was the first African American to receive a Medal of Honor during the Vietnam War. Mr. Odom.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans in the audience and those who are not with us. My name is Terrell Odom. I'm the Veteran Services Director over at Kennedy King College. I'm also a Navy / Marine Corps veteran. I was a Navy Corpsman, combat medic. I spent most of my time alongside the United States Marine Corps assisting wounded Marines on the field. And I've currently been doing this role for over 10 years now, which I actually get the opportunity and the pleasure to be able to service veterans once they come back to society. We all know that there's a huge plague of stigmas that come along with being a veteran. Some things that most people didn't understand, which are now currently being addressed. PTSD, which has finally been diagnosed and put inside the DSM-IV, so we definitely want to thank God for that. Traumatic brain injuries, alcoholism, depression, suicidal ideation, homicidal ideations, etc., which is what we've taken this approach at the City Colleges to be able to address some of these gaps that society has left out for our nation's best. Currently, we operate several programs within the City Colleges, and in each City College individually, there's a person that serves in my particular role where we assist the veterans, their dependents, utilizing benefits with coming into the campus, as well as being able to help them find resources so that they can be successful not just while at school, but outside of the school as well. So homelessness, food insecurities, financial literacy, which is what I'm going to teach a class today once I leave here. I teach an introductory college success course for veterans to be successful inside of school, so what resources they need to be able to use inside and outside the campus to be successful. Doris, you can't say no to Doris for some reason. She got me in here today. So we want to talk about one of the programs in particular that Doris wanted me to address with you guys. We currently have a partnership with People's Gas, which has been purchased by Wisconsin Energy Corporation, along with Teamsters Union and the City Colleges, where we actually train veterans at our Dawson location, which is at 39th and State Street. Veterans go through a 6-month training program where they're granted a 1-month paid internship directly after the program, and then they're granted opportunity to work for People's Gas, coming in and starting at $25 an hour, $24.98 an hour, which is huge. There's not too many places where individuals can do a 6-month training and go directly into the workforce. We have several other programs as well for the veterans inside the campuses. So we've got plumbing, carpentry, welding, bricklaying, concrete masonry, a program that leads to employment with ComEd, program leads to employment with Illinois Department of Transportation. So we just want to make sure that we're able to get these resources out to you guys, that you understand that they are there for you. And again, that's my role at the Kennedy King campus, along with my counterparts at the other 6 campuses, to making sure that the veterans understand these programs are available to them. If you can't find benefits, we can typically work with some type of organization, federal and state and non-for-profit, that will make sure that we can get you the adequate services. If you get homelessness, if you're feeling that you have an issue with homelessness, we can get you referred to the correct counterpart, Hope Manor, Catholic Charities. There's several lists that we can go on that they have veteran resources for you guys to be able to utilize. Want me to address that question? Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Odom. We're going to eat now, and then we're going to set up the video so that you can be eating and watching the video at the same time. So you can go back to the table, please.
They're serving.
Oh, they're serving. Okay. All right. So next.
We will enjoy our breakfast while we wait for our video to start. You ready? Okay, we're getting word that the video is ready, so stand by.
I was diagnosed with hepatitis back in about 1994, working for an insurance company. And I had just donated some blood to a blood drive. And I got a phone call saying, hey, your blood was not accepted and that you had hepatitis C. My job as director of marketing, we went by a policy of trying to educate our sales staff to avoid people that are pregnant, to avoid people with HIV, to avoid people with hepatitis. 3 months later, after the policy announcement, that I then find out that I had hepatitis. I had a strong struggle for about a couple months to decide to come out and say that I had it, to deal with it, and to talk to the administration about changing the policies for hepatitis C specifically, and they weren't going to change the policy. So I resigned. I decided to set up a nonprofit organization that dealt directly with creating awareness for hepatitis C and to provide services and quality health care. After I was diagnosed with hepatitis, I had to go through some research to figure out how I came across hepatitis. And I determined that during the inoculation and joining the Marine Corps, that they used the same air gun on everybody, and that blood would be retained onto the air gun as they shot different guys in line. And I feel that this is where most of the guys in the Vietnam War got hepatitis C. There was a sense of fatigue, tiredness, but there was no physical symptom that I was aware of until I was notified that I had hepatitis C. And then all of a sudden you begin to feel more fatigued, but that kind of comes on after you've been notified that you had the disease itself. Family is the strongest support system one has, and I was very blessed by having a wife that was a loving wife, and herself being an educator, be able to learn and go with me to the VA and sit through the explanations from the doctors about the disease. I think that once you deal with the understanding of the disease, you can overcome some of the obstacles that it has, and that's how I kind of overcome my problem, is to be able to share that information with others.
Thank you for providing that video. Veterans, please continue to enjoy yourself. We'll take about 10 minutes to get the breakfast served out, and then right at about 8:45, we'll go ahead and start our panel discussion with our illustrious speakers. Since we last spoke, Melissa Farmer-Hill has joined us, and I saw Captain Erin Alyssa. I guess she'll be back in a moment as well. So thank you. Enjoy your breakfast, and we'll be back.
Get some breakfast and bring it back. You know what they say? They can tell you. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, I know you. I met you. I don't remember where and when. I mean, I looked at your face. I know that guy.
Yeah.
I got a contract grant from 2000.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Some input, some help.
Okay. All right. Okay, thank you. You know, I was the publisher over at the Chicago in the newspaper, and I think that's where I met you.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Right. You got a better memory than I do.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, definitely. I like to say it.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Good. Good. Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to start in about 2 minutes. About 2 minutes, we're going to start. You're next.
Who's next? Oh, okay. Wait, how long? 7 minutes. Okay, the broadcast is when?
10 o'clock.
How long will the broadcast?
An hour.
An hour? Mm-hmm. How long will I speak?
Oh,
Oh, it's not.
no. But you're going to be in the front row, so the cameras will get you.
Okay, no problem.
All right. This is where you speak.
Still here too?
Downstairs.
Oh, downstairs.
This your first time here?
Yes, it is. I'm always traveling.
Don't you come back now?
Well, thank you. Thanks for the invitation.
All right.
All right, as we prepare for the wonderful discussion that we've prepared for you today, just 2 quick shout outs. I'd like to give a shout out to Pearls. Pearls donated the delicious breakfast that everyone's enjoying this morning. Can we give a round of applause to Pearls for donating this wonderful breakfast? Let's also give a warm round of applause to Chinta Strasberg and the committee, the Veterans Committee, who worked so hard for so many weeks to pull together this illustrious panel, as well as all of the work associated with today. Last but not least, we're going to make several announcements when we are on our live broadcast, but I do want to let you know that Soldiers to Work also donated some vouchers for free haircuts for veterans. We like free. Free is always a good thing. So we've got about 100 vouchers that we'll be passing out. The first 40 to call and make their appointment will get free haircuts courtesy of Soldiers to Work.
Thank you so much, Bonita Parker, our COO of Rainbow Push. Now, our first speaker is going to be Dr. James Dentley, International Motivational Speaker, CEO, Network Business Building and Coaching. That's the NBC University. And he's also founder of the Inspired to Speak. Dr. Dentley. And can we have quiet, please? Please. Thank you.
Well, first of all, good morning. You know, it's always an honor and a privilege to get a chance to do what I do, and especially on this day, as Veterans Day, as we are celebrating our veterans. And, you know, when Veterans Day was first initiated, it was really about world peace. But I'm really thankful that now we bring the acknowledgement and we bring the attention and the focus back to the men and women who serve this great country and they go out and put their lives at risk each and every day, that operate with a sense of discipline and honor and code every single day, and it's such an honor. I have a question for you. Can I ask you a question? Everybody say question. If there was a way that I could say how great you could be, would you listen to me? If you're ready to listen to me for a few minutes, just say I. Oh, I love this. Second question. If there was some work that you could do, would you roll up your sleeves even now the work is on you? If you're ready to go to work for your goals and your dreams to make this world better, say aye. Ah. And there was a price that you could pay that would give you the life that you seek. Would you be willing to pay that price today? Are you willing to pay the price for your goals and dreams? Are you ready to pay that price? Say aye. And if there was a promise of silver and gold, of pleasures and treasures and fortunes untold, would you do what it takes no matter how tough? Would you dare never quit when the going gets rough? Would you build something great? Would you let it build you? We're here at this breakfast, but there's something else you must do. Because as we together build a dream, this dream has to build you. So if there was a way that I could say how great you could be, would you listen to me? If you're ready to listen to me, say aye. Well, again, my name is James Dentley. I have an honorary doctorate degree. I do have a PhD. I call it a public high school degree from Chicago Vocational High School. I'm very honored to be here today. And with NBC University, the first thing I want to share with you guys is that our organization is dedicated to helping people create success in their life, wherever that may be. You know, we live in a time today where there's a lot of people that are struggling. And today, as we honor Veterans Day, we remember today, and each and every day as we should, that our veterans need our help, they need our support, and they deserve our recognition. They deserve that, and we need them as well, because we have so many great veterans that are leaders, that have leadership abilities, that have overcome some things. How many people here have ever been through some challenges in their life? Raise a hand. Okay. How many people have ever fallen down in your life? Raise your hand. You know, I want to talk about this because when I got out of my car in front of the building, I slipped on a patch of ice and fell flat on my behind. Fell flat down, just pow. And thank goodness there was a young man there to help me get back up. And each of us have to be there to help one another. It's all about not falling down, but how many times we get up. You know, Jim Rohn once said it's not the blowing of the wind, but it's the set of the sail, because the wind blows on us all. So we're all going to have our challenges in life. But I will tell you that today, on this day, and as we move forward, there are organizations that are coming together. The Doty Foundation, who I'm very proud to work with their work in HIV and hepatitis awareness and helping people get the resources that they need, and also economic empowerment. And working with organizations through my nonprofit and my wife, Kara Scott, always amazing. We really want to be the bridge that kind of helps other nonprofits and help other people who are disenfranchised, or people who just don't need another link. They're almost there, but they need another connection. They need some more resources. They need to get some more money. How many people think some organizations need to raise some money? Thank you. Yeah. And one of the things we're good at is that we're good at showing people how to raise money. Ooh, this microphone is all up in here. And helping people better raise money, how to monetize your gifts. So one of the great things that we do is try to help you to monetize your gifts, identify those gifts. And as we're going to help 100 children write their own books, now we want to help our veterans to write their own book. And we want to publish those books. We want to finance those books. We want to get those books out there because they have some stories to tell, and those stories are going to be absolutely necessary for us to move forward in generations to come. Because, see, life is to be lived forward, but be understood backwards. And I believe in everything inside of me that these gentlemen to my left and the ladies to my right, that they have stories to tell. They have experiences, and each and every one of you have a story to tell. You know, I'm very honored to be partnered up with a good friend of mine, Mr. Les Brown, who, here's a guy who made $60 million telling his story. How many people are ready to tell their story? You know, you may not make $60 million, but if you make 6,000 telling your story, how many people think, say amen? Yeah. See, we want to be able to raise capital because I truly believe that if we get the money and the resources in the right hands, then great things can happen. You know, we have so many people out there who have greatness inside of them, who have everything that they need to succeed in life, but they just need that one little extra connection. They just need a little bit of knowledge. They need somebody to just grab them and say, look, well, there's somebody doing some great things, but now we can take it to an entirely different level. You know, we live in an age today where the world has changed so much. And now they're talking about putting cities on the moon, and they have cars that can drive themselves, and we're still stuck trying to figure out the same things we've been figuring out for the last 30 years. So I say let's lift the ante. Let's raise that ante a little bit. Let's raise it up, and let's increase the scope of our goals and our dreams, because there's no magic in small dreams. You know, Benjamin E. Mace once said, it must be borne in mind that the true tragedy in life does not lie in not reaching your goal, but the true tragedy lies in having no goal to reach for. He said, it's not a calamity not to capture your ideals, but it is a calamity to have no ideals to capture. It's not a disaster not to live your dreams, but it is a disaster not to dream. And it's not a disgrace not to reach the stars, but it is a disgrace to have no stars to reach for. Because when you reach for the stars, even when you fall short, you'll come down with stardust in your hand. Now, There's a story of three wise men who are retiring and trying to decide what to do with this thing called greatness. The first wise man said, look, we have to put it somewhere because if humanity gets a hold of it, they certainly will destroy themselves. The first wise man said, well, why don't we stick it at the top of the highest mountain so they can't get a hold of it? The other wise man said, no, you don't understand. They'll find a way to soar to the top of the highest mountains in the land. The other wise man said, why don't we stick it in the deepest part of the ocean? They don't even know what's down there. The other wise man said, no, you don't understand. They'll find a way to light up even the depths of the sea. The third wise man said, I got it. Why don't we just put it inside of them? They'll never find it there. So it begins with a proclamation to begin to dream bigger, to begin to serve. You know, Martin Luther King said everyone can't be famous, but everyone can be great because greatness comes through service. And we're here to serve, and we want you to join each and every one of you in your initiatives, and we'd like you to come check us out. You know, we're going to make a special announcement because on this Wednesday morning, we have a breakfast, a complimentary full breakfast, and we're going to be honoring our veterans. Unfortunately, we can only hold about 200 people in the facility and another 50 in a holdover room. But we're going to have this breakfast. We're going to give out free gifts to our veterans. We're just going to ask you to please register so we can make sure we don't run out of waffles. Is that okay? Is that okay? All right, so register because we have some free gifts for you. We're going to have some acknowledgments. We have some recognition. We're a celebration. We're going to interview some people. We're launching our own television network. So we want people to just get out there so we can know who you are, so we can get your story out there because your story can help somebody else like someone's story saved me. So before I end, I want to end with something. I just want to bring everybody together and bring some energy for the rest of this day. Is that okay? All right, do me a favor. Everybody stand up. Stand up. I want you to repeat after me loud and strong. Now I'm going to say I, and you're going to say what? I say I, and you say what? And then I'm going to say your name, and I want you to say your name. Don't say your name. Say whatever your name is. And then repeat after me. Is that a deal? Are you ready? All right, say I. Say your name. Say I'm a winner. Say I. Say your name. Say I got big things to do. Say I. What's your name? There's nothing impossible for me. Say I am somebody. I'm on my way somewhere. Say I got some big things to do. Look at the person next to you and say, you don't know who you're standing beside. Say I am somebody. I'm on my way somewhere. Say I got some big things to do. Look at the person with attitude and say, you don't know who you're standing beside. Say, I am somebody. I'm on my way somewhere. I got some big things to do. Point to the universe, say, look out world, because here I come. Before I go, I want to say, knowledge, Operation Push, people united to save humanity. And here we are still standing from 1971 in the conception of this great organization. And now it's time for us to unite and to continue to unite and to continue to unite because we're stronger together. So everyone put their hand over their heart, repeat after me. Say, I love my life. You only got one. Say, I love my life. One more time. Say, I love my life. Look at the person next to you and say, I love your life too. And that's what I respect about our military and our veterans, because as they go through life loving this country, they love each other again. I want to thank you for this time. God bless you guys, and God bless America.
Wow, that was awesome. Thank you, Dr. James Dentley. Our next speaker is going to be Colonel Eugene Scott. I ask, please, if you can not speak while the speakers are speaking, please give our speakers your respect, please. Colonel Eugene Scott is my former boss. He is the former publisher of the Chicago Defender. In fact, he saved that paper. And I'd like to thank you very much because you went through a lot there. And he's also former chairman of the Chicago Defender Charities. He ran the Bud Billiken Parade for a long, long time. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Shinta. It's certainly an honor and a pleasure to be here this morning. First, let me thank you, Brother Dentley, for getting everybody fired up and ready to receive our conversations. Someone asked me the other day, with all the someone asked me the other day, and all the racism and mistreatment of minorities in our country, why did you serve? And I paused and thought about it, and I served to set the record straight that I am an American. I have 5 generations that have fought for this country. So I'm a part of this country, and I feel it's my duty to serve my country. Now, was expectations, I expect proper treatment by my country and to be taken care of after my service. So I think that's what it's all about now, to take care of these veterans, provide opportunities for them, and there are many programs out there. But what happens is these programs don't get to the people that need them. You know, someone came to me, I thought I knew everything about VA benefits, and I found out I didn't know anything. Because there are a lot of exceptions to policies. So if you've got an issue about benefits, go to the VA representative and talk about those benefits. And find out, explain your situation and find out just what you're qualified for. I'm still learning. I'm not a VA specialist, but I kind of thought I was because I am a retired soldier and I go to the VA, but that's no reason for me to become an expert about VA benefits. There are people that get paid every day to dig deep into what you are qualified to receive. So go see them and talk to them. And in most cases, they'll probably be able to help you. The VA's got this extensive programs in housing. I had a son that took advantage of a housing program that VA had that I didn't even know existed. So don't just stop when you're told no. Go find out just what is available to you. Another point I wanted to share with you, I've been fortunate enough to work with distinguished gentleman as Chuck Bowen, who was a member of the 8th Infantry Illinois National Guard unit. This is the same unit that was at the Chicago Military Academy, the Armory, that Chuck and others helped create that into a military academy for our community. Tremendous impact on young people. Well, this unit went to France under the designation of the 370th. What was so unique about them? They were the only combat unit in World War I, right here from your neighborhood, that was commanded by all black officers. Now, you know that didn't set well in 1918. And the Army said, well, we don't know what to do with all you black officers, so we're going to let you go work with the French. The French had been begging for soldiers to help them, so General Pershing took these black soldiers, all the black National Guard soldiers, and assigned them to the French. Now, what was the problem with that for the black soldiers? they had to wear French combat gear. They had to learn how to fire French weapons. Now, that's kind of tough to do, to learn all these things in a short period of time. But they did it. Now, you know why they probably had to take these French weapons. If they're assigned to the French, what was the problem being assigned to the French and having American weapons? What would be the main, where are my logisticians? What's the problem here? The problem is ammunition. So you got to convert to French weapons so you'll have an ammunition support system. But such a burden on soldiers that in their introduction to war, they've got to take another country's weapons and learn how to fire. However, all these things being said, they received over 70 French Croix de Guerre for a heroic battle. They received over 27 Distinguished Service Crosses, which was the second highest medal at the time. They were the unit that on the last day and the last hour and the last minute of the war that was still fighting. Colonel Otis Duncan, he had a battalion in the regiment, and they had just chased the enemy as far as he could go. The French general had to call him and say, "Colonel, the war is over. You can stop fighting." But those are your relatives and descendants from this community. So we are putting together an initiative to commemorate these soldiers. We're partnering with the town in Vauxhall, France, that these soldiers liberated, and we're going to go and help them celebrate our black soldiers' success in France. And to do that, we're going to take 12 of that color guard that is here, put them in period uniforms, and fly them to the ceremony in France. We're also going to take 32 jazz band members from King High School and fly them over to Vauxhall to participate. And why jazz? You probably know that the introduction of jazz sort of got started in World War I, and each of the units, each of those black units, took their band to France with them. So we're going to recreate what happened back in 1918. The French government appreciated and loved the participation of our black soldiers, and I want you to join us in trying to help celebrate that. My pleasure to be here with you this morning. Thank you very much.
That was some history lesson. Thank you so much, Colonel Scott. We're going to hear now from Melissa Farmer Hill, retired Chief Warrant Officer 4. Give her a hand, please.
Talk about off the cuff. This is amazing. Hello, everyone, and thank you for... Is that better? Thank you for being a part of this celebration. My name is Melissa Farmer Hill. I am a retired Army warrant officer. I retired in 2014 in the rank of CW4. And I went to the military because I wanted to be a part of something that represented America. I grew up not too far from here, 48th and King Drive, and I wanted to see something different. And I am so blessed and so glad that I did, because I have been able to go to parts of the world that I may not have been able to see had I stayed here. I don't know what that journey would have been for me. I'm so glad that I joined, because I met people that I was able to bond with, you're able to grow with, I learned from, I had mentors, and what I did in the military, they call it fast track. So I made rank really quick, but it wasn't by my choice. I had a supervisor, a female supervisor, and she would stay on me no matter what. When we were putting up tents, you know, Farmer wanted to be in the back and just kind of hang out. No, she would call me out. Farmer, you get up here. And I thought he was picking on me. I'm like, why would she do this? It doesn't make sense. But in hindsight, after 20 years of service, after fast tracking, after going from being a non-commissioned, from enlisted to a non-commissioned officer, to being a warrant officer, to writing a book about women in the military, I can see it now. And I can thank Sandra Hightower Smith for her commitment to me, for her mentoring me. The women in the military are amazing, and look at where we've come from, you know, the Women's Army Corps, and then as black women, especially, what we had to deal with, the additional burden. But I am so glad, and I'm so blessed to have had the privilege to serve, to go to Kosovo, to go to Iraq, to meet and bond with other people. And I'm just blessed to be here. So I want to thank you all again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You make me feel guilty. My brother was in the Armed Air Force, and I was going to go there too, and my dad talked me out of it. So this is awesome. You sure did. 3 times. All right, Captain Erwin Alice Stokes. She's a PhD. I understand that she has a whole bunch of more degrees. Give her a hand, please.
Try my hand at it. All right. So as you were saying earlier, I was a graduate of Bronzeville, actually. I'm not going to tell you what year, but I'll tell you I was the first to graduate. General Bacon was our superintendent at the time, and he was an amazing man, and he also helped with the start of the school. So, yeah, we had a lot of fights with Dunbar, but whatever. I joined actually in about 2007, 2008, and I joined because I felt like we needed more role models. We needed more women in the military. Some of the ones that I would see, I would look up to, and they would tell me, the guys don't want us here. Well, it's all in how you make it. So as far as my education is concerned, I'll give you a little background. I do have a PhD in business administration with a specialization in criminal justice. I have an MBA with a specialization in human resources management. I have a Master of Arts in law enforcement and justice administration, and I have a bachelor's degree in criminology and criminal justice. I'm 32 years old. Currently, I am an aeromedical evacuation officer, which is pretty much just a medical aviator. So I fly Blackhawks for a living for the military. My sole purpose here is just to provide that leadership, that mentorship. I love to be a role model. I love to mentor those. I mentored maybe about 50 soldiers from Bronzeville in the past 2 years. I provide at least 5,000 to 10,000 in scholarships for those soldiers as well. I will always be indebted to Bronzeville for what they've given me and instilled in me. So that's just my background.
Thank you so much. Now we're going to have Dr. Damon Arnold. He's a real physician, and he is a retired Army colonel. Give him a hand, please.
Okay. Well, you know, I'm going to follow the order of precedence of the military as far as the 3 B's of a military presentation for the Army. It's be on time, be brief, and then be gone. But before I go, I want to congratulate what's going on with the Bronzeville Academy. That color guard did an excellent job. Give it around. And I served in the military for 26 years. I was the first African-American flight surgeon for the state of Illinois. I helped the first African-American female become the first African-American female pilot in Illinois. And the reason why we have to reach out and help each other is because we are combat people in arms. The veterans who are serving this country, I learned about that flag one day. It was back in Iraq. I was in Mosul. General Petraeus, General Ham were there, and we came under a rocket attack. And all these things were just blowing up, RPGs, 3 o'clock in the morning. And we got up, this thing hit the roof of the area we were sitting in, and it made a crack around the entire wall. So that entire structure became unsound. And I walked out the front of this structure, and I looked, and I saw these things blowing up in the air. And I looked over, and I saw our flag. And I said, this is what they felt like when they first established this country. A country that goes back to people like Crispus Attucks, who joined the Revolutionary War. It goes back to people in World War I, World War II. We had a war every 10 years since the country started. And we go back to the triple nickel that jumped in, and they were the first smoke jumpers in California. They were putting out fires that the Japanese were starting with incendiary devices, a secret unit, because they didn't want to alarm the country that we are under attack. It goes to people who came back here from World War II and Vietnam, from the Korean War, who served this country despite being racially oppressed. They had the greatest level of honor this country could ever bestow on someone. That is to be an American citizen who actually cared to serve, who actually served this country valiantly every time they stepped on the battlefield. We have wounded veterans now. We walk by in the street and don't have a place to sleep, don't have something to eat. That's why I joined the military back in 1984. I served 26 years. In 1984, I was walking through the hospital over on Damon. Then, before it became Jesse Brown, it was Westside VA. And I saw veterans laying there. And this one brother was laying there, and he was kind of recalcitrant at first. I was this little medical student with this little jacket on. And I started talking to him, and I said, you know, it would be nice if you put those slippers on before you went to latrine because it's kind of cold on the floor. And I said, where are the doctors and nurses? And I saw an orderly coming through, putting sheets up. And he said, don't worry, they'll be here. I said, what do you mean, don't worry, they'll be here? This is a post-surgical floor. The urine bags were filled to the top, so I had to empty the urine bags. I looked under this guy's bed when I pulled his slippers out, and there were newspapers in there. And I said, what are you doing, collecting newspapers? And he said, yes, I am. And he said, but, you know, this is some newspaper. And I looked at them, and I looked at him, and I said, that's you. He had flown over 70 combat missions over Germany. After 25, back in those days, they didn't even look for you to come back. Because how dangerous it was. He came back to this country and asked to get a job at an airlines. He went to American Airlines. He went to United Airlines. He spoke to the presidents of the companies. And he said, why is it I can't get a job here? Because some of the people you have here as pilots, I trained. And they said, well, How would you think it would look if we had a Negro person flying one of our planes? So here we have a veteran in this country who served honorably, had all kinds of medals and awards, laying in a hospital bed begging for someone to empty his urine bag. What the hell are we doing? We need to get up every day, look at these veterans, and assist them and their families. We got Gold Star families in the African American community you never hear about. It shouldn't be that we have Veterans Day and then all of a sudden we see somebody. Do you have to have Sunday every day in order for you to pray? Take care of the people that took care of this country. I was with a lot of them that died and are not here today. They were in my unit. Honor them because they honored you. And to Colonel Scott's point, I thought it was very articulate. When they asked you, why did you join? I remember coming back from my first tour in Iraq, and someone asked me, they said, well, what are you doing over there? Were you over there for Bush's oil and all that? And I said, that doesn't matter to me. And they said, what? What do you mean it doesn't matter to you? I said, look, I raised my hand to defend the Constitution of this country that defends that flag. It's up to you as a citizen to go to those rallying points of public debate and discussion and to vote and to engage yourself in civic activities to rebuild our infrastructure in our communities. That is what your job is. If I'm over there as a soldier, as a veteran, losing my life for what you think is a worthless cause, it's because you put a worthless amount of energy into protecting us and that right that you have to have a military that protects you. Make sure that you honor veterans every day. And for those veterans who are in the room, I'd like you to stand just for a moment, just for 1 second. And these are the faces of courage in your community and honor. Make sure you recognize them when you see them and thank them for their service. And I'll tell you one thing, color disappears on a battlefield. You know, gender disappears on a battlefield. Religion disappears on a battlefield. Because you are at the highest level of coercion that can exist. You are trying to defend a principle and ideal that everyone takes for granted every day in this country. So with that, I just want to say thank you very much, and it's an honor to speak to you.
Thank you so much. That is another awesome speech and a history lesson for us as well. Our next speaker is going to be Chuck Bowen, Illinois National Guard. He's a retired Master Sergeant, and he's also very key to the successful building of the Chicago Military Academy at Bronzeville. Give him a hand, please.
I hope you'll understand this morning how I feel. First of all, I'm honored to be here in the cradle of the civil rights movement at Operation PUSH. PUSH has had so much to do with all of the things that have happened in our community from its inception to now. Had a great deal to do with it. But I'm honored because I've been able to sit and listen to people give a testimony about something that I had a lot to do with. And that's a great feeling. I just want you to understand. Chicago Military Academy started off with a lie, actually, because I was a fraudulent enlistment in the Illinois National Guard when I was 15 years old. I joined the 184th Field Artillery Battalion when I was 15. I was a sergeant at 15, and I was a master sergeant at 18. I taught the history of the unit, of the 370th, the 8th Infantry, actually all the way from the 29th, the Illinois 29th that fought at Richmond, Virginia in 1864, which was a very parent organization of the 8th Infantry. And it was my job as a first sergeant of Sea Battery 184th to teach all of the new recruits the history of the unit. Now, how that played down was, later, I worked for the mayor of the city of Chicago. I was his senior executive assistant for almost 22 years, Mayor Richard M. Daley. And the mayor and I were sitting at a baseball game one night, and he wanted to know what was happening in the community. I just happened to be sitting next to him, and I explained to him that the alderman of the 2nd Ward had come in to talk about building the armory. The armory had sat vacant for 30 years, had an atrium over the center of the building, so light came in and trees filled the whole armory. The drill floor was actually nothing but a forest inside. When you went inside the place, it was amazing to see that it was. So the mayor said to me, he says, I told him that the alderman wanted to have a flea market inside the armory. He wanted to show up the floors and have a flea market. And I told him, I just didn't think that that was a good sense. So the mayor said, well, you better get the building torn down. So get it torn down, because otherwise somebody's going to get drug up in there and raped, and we're going to get blamed for it. I said, no, boss, we can't do that. That's not something we can do. I said, black people do not understand the history. Nobody is talking about the history of that unit. I said, but